but really they don't even know.
Hey, you guys.
So he just hit the camera button while I was talking. Don't know why.
I just wanted to shuffle for you guys while he gets you in on the card that flipped out. For Taurus, April 2018.
Hi guys. Here we are. We're going to talk about Taurus. We're basically talking about April. This is an April reading. It's like your month reading on what's going on with you guys. Taurus, you got 9 of Swords. 9 of Swords energy right away is an accumulation. So you definitely have your mind fixed on a lot of things, and it's now becoming too much, overwhelming yourself too much with these thoughts. Traditionally, this is a woman who is holding her face in her hands, and it's nighttime. She's in bed. And it's very much about emotions that you deal with on your own, emotions that come from anxieties of the mind. Your mind is causing you to think about a situation that you feel like you can escape, or a person. Usually this is a person or an institution that is making you feel somehow possibly restricted in some type of way, or maybe just feeling persecuted or like some type of tribulation, like you feel like you just can't come out of it easily. And the realization in this matter is that you need to come to grips with the idea that it's really up to you. You are the maker of your destiny, and if you want to allow something to trouble you to no end, then it will. So just know that, overanalyzing things to the umpteenth thousand degree can be very stifling. At some point, you have to just start doing things. You can't just stay in this place mentally with whatever is. It could be factually just affecting you however it is. That's true. Or this person is affecting you however they are. That's true. You're a Taurus, so you deal with manifestations. So maybe something manifested itself, and now you're dealing with this thing that is there. And this is kind of a call to how you approach the situation. How you let the situation affect you mentally is how it's going to affect you emotionally.
Okay. So, Taurus, at the bottom of the deck, you got the Page of Swords. So, just based on what Dale was saying, I'm thinking that maybe you talked your way into getting more than you bargained for. Right? You sweet-talked your way in. And now the situation isn't exactly what you anticipated it to be. It's actually more strife and more problems than you really wanted to take on. And a lot of it is just because you're letting it get to you. It doesn't really have to be this way, but, you get what you bargained for.
It definitely is about, mental anguish, and the idea that you are probably over-analyzing something, because it is a card of Gemini. So it's kind of like your experience and the experience, right? So it's like the idea of the experience in itself, and then the idea of it happening to you and it happening around you, and how people perceive it is how it's kind of affecting your emotions.
Right. You just kind of wanted to make the connection because maybe you were getting a sense of nostalgia from it. I don't know, maybe this person reminded you of someone that you once knew in the past. Maybe you have some feelings towards the way this person like makes you feel. You know, sometimes people can like smell a certain way, or like wear a certain style of clothes that reminds you of someone that you sort of like took a liking to, you know, and then you kind of like are sweet on them. So then you're a little bit more reckless with your way of receiving them, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what this person does or says, you know, you still will welcome them just as you did before they, you know, screwed up, if you will.
It's Nine of Swords, so it's Virgo. So there's an attraction there. Mm-hmm. You're attracted. I mean, Virgo and Taurus is like a 10, we know, right? So they're very compatible naturally. You're both earth. One's fixed, one's mutable, so you're constantly learning from each other. One's very stable and the other one's moving around in short, you know, spurts. So it's compatibility all the way. It's usually a marriage card for the two of them in a certain way or another. A great union, a deeper understanding. But nines are also about letting go. It's accumulation of things. So either you need to let go of certain thoughts, or you might actually be having to let go of a certain person. Like there may be a Virgo in your life that maybe it's just overly critical, and it was a very healthy part of your life at one point, and now it's not serving you as much. Or maybe they've changed somehow, because Taurus has really feared change a lot, right? And it's always some type of dramatic situation. And the swords would definitely come up like that for you when it comes to change, because that brings a lot of anxiety for a Taurus.
Yeah. And, you know, with the Nine of Swords here, and then you come in with the Six of Cups in your Sun position, you know, it's kind of a card for moving on from the past. Maybe the past didn't serve you in some kind of way. That's why you have the Nine of Swords here. And, you know, in your Moon position, Temperance is speaking to you. It's asking you to, you know, kind of see the situation for what it is, you know, try to make out certain circumstances within the situation that bring you to a point of reasonably concluding something, right? It's kind of like taking a chance on knowing, because this is an intuitive card. It is the Sun in Scorpio, right?
Is that the 7?
Yeah, it's 6.
6, yes, it's the Sun. Sun in Scorpio. So it's about awareness of some deep emotions. Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right. So there's
Scorpio
a transformation.
Is also opposite Taurus. So it's not necessarily something you like.
Right.
Right?
There's an opposing energy here.
It's definitely an opposition to some part of who you are as a person. There's a deeper emotional feeling there. And it's something that maybe you guys have been either dealing with or you've wanted to escape for quite some time, because the Temperance in your emotions, that's Sagittarius, and it's talking about goals. Self-beneficial goals.
Right.
Jupiter is about expanding oneself. Sagittarius is about living and traveling and doing what you love in an external way, in a magnetized way where you attract things in. So you want to attract things in, but maybe there's some type of anxieties happening for you over a situation that has been there for a while.
Yeah.
And you're kind of trying to find the balance of it, basically.
The stress of trying to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. It could be health, especially with Temperance there with your emotions, because it's like a long-term kind of thing. So it's kind of like the longer goal of what it is, philosophically, is now affecting you emotionally. The fact that you have to deal with this thing is now affecting you in an emotional type of way. So that's definitely something. Just because you're Tauruses and the idea of ritualism is so important to you, that's something that I'm definitely seeing there.
Yeah. I'm also kind of getting like, since you have the Sun and Scorpio card here, the Six of Cups, maybe you could be too quick in sort of thinking of a situation as being black and white. You know what I mean? It's kind of like calling for you to be a little bit more patient in your awareness and the way you understand the situation to be. Let's open up the recent past and see what's here. Okay, so you've got the 8 of Wands, right?
That's Sagittarius again. Right? So there's been some swift things that have happened. Maybe something came up for you. News came up for you recently. Something that was unpredictable. You could have been doing some traveling or something, and maybe through the traveling, either you met someone who's now causing some type of anxiety, or maybe your immune system got kind of depleted a little bit because of the traveling, being on all these different planes, or something like that. Or just stress in general, because maybe there's a lot of wands, and they're getting thrown at you, and you're trying to dodge them, and so there's that. Or there's just news in general, some type of news that evoked passion that also might invoke some type of mental anxiety.
Yeah, you know, and there's sort of like a critical aspect to this card. It's Mercury and Sagittarius, so it could have been like, you know, Sagittarius is critical as well. They are mutable, you know, which is a mercurial sense, like Virgo and Gemini. So it's like that mercurial energy is coming in, and it's coming in with the fire of Sagittarius, and it's just too much, too fast, all at the same time. And, you know, Taurus is slow moving. They may not feel like dealing with that Sagittarius energy because it doesn't allow them to be who they really are.
Well, it's interesting because you're a Taurus, so you well know there's a deep physical attraction for the Sagittarius. And for a Taurus, you are so earthy. You know, Tauruses are totally okay with having a trophy wife and a trophy husband, and having ritualisms that they come back to, and having somebody that's aesthetically looking the part. But you might be going deeper into some things to uncover that the compatibility actually isn't there. So, or that there just is more work to be involved in it, because now we're in the present looking at the 8 of Pentacles, which is another Virgo card. I'm seeing a lot of you dealing with a Virgo, which is very predictable for a Taurus to be dealing with a Virgo. So I'm seeing a lot of that, maybe romantically, or even just in your family, or closely working with someone, like a partnership, where the relationship with this Virgo is very much affecting you.
Right. It's almost like, it's kind of like, you're trying to make it work, you're trying to make it work, you keep working at it, things are happening, news is coming in, and when I say news, it's just kind of like things that you're computing on your own, you know what I mean, in your own mind, because you've got the 9 of Swords opening your reading. So you're over computing things are coming in too fast for you to process, but you're actually trying to make it work. It's kind of like I Love Lucy on like that little like conveyor belt, when they were like dealing with the chocolates and they were eating them and putting them in their pockets, and they didn't know what to do with them because they kept coming so fast. And I feel like there's a lot of energy coming in for you, Taurus, and you just kind of really need to let it flow.
I think letting go of the idea of, you know, Virgo is very much about the need to be perfect, you know, to try to do something in a certain way. Even though it's still mutable, it's the most rigid of all the mutable, right? Because it's earthy in that way. So it's like very critical energy in do it this way. This is the way it needs to be done. This is the way it needs to be analyzed. Also, a lot of the times Virgos learn things on their own later, right? The situation happens, and then they analyze the situation, and then they perfect the situation, right? So this could very much be also like reflection a little bit. We are in a retrograde until April 15th.
Yeah, it's giving strength.
It's also talking about putting the work in. It's an 8. 8s are usually overall very positive. It's talking about a positive change of mind or a positive change of status. So even though, you know, you might be questioning your work right now and your investments right now, be it your investments in, you know, monetary things, or your investments in relationships with people. Because Pentacles are about proof, facts. Also about prosperity. It's about stuff that everybody can see. It's not something, you know, that everyone can notice what's going on. Everybody sees the work that you put in or the relationship that you've had or whatever the situation is.
Right.
It's very clear and it's very apparent.
Okay.
In the future, Jupiter and Libra. So, this is a waiting period for more to be revealed later. And it's basically saying that coming into the future, this has got to do with your relationships. And it's karmic lessons in relationship to your relationships. It could be this one relationship with this Virgo energy for some of you that are having, or it could just have to do with a larger kind of concept of work or pleasure.
Right.
And like, maybe you're feeling like the pleasure's kind of going out. You're putting a lot of work in.
Right.
And there's been a lot of work that's been put in with the Eight of Wands being there.
Right, because there's a lot of mutable energy going on here with these cards. You know, you got some Gemini, you got some Mercury in fast, so that's mutable, double mutable. And then you've got, what is this, the Sun in Mercury and Virgo?
Mercury and Virgo.
Mercury and Virgo.
It seems like you don't... Like you're working and you're worried, or you're feeling like you're not getting the just rewards from out of the work. And maybe that's causing some type of heartache or heart loss. But you know, threes are a lot about redoing things. We are in a Mercury retrograde, like I said. So, you know, like the saying goes, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Right? So you just want to go back and make sure that everything is in line. And make sure that everything isn't just at your standards, but they're just that things are working efficiently in general. Trying to be a little bit more objective about it, even though you are a fixed sign. You could try to cultivate some of the Aries and the Gemini, which are the two signs that are next to you, and try to cultivate some of that energy in this type of scenario I'm getting. It's very interesting because Libra is also ruled by Venus, like you. But this is more of the air aspect of it, right? So this is about the aesthetic of it. And this is also about weighing things out in your relationships. Maybe you're just thinking, oh, you're putting all this work in yourself in the present. And then in the future, you may end up feeling like...
I'm not getting anything out of it.
I'm not getting enough out of it. I haven't really expressed myself, or I'm not feeling fulfilled.
Right. What is this all for?
Because this is about being fair. It's not just about being fair in the relationship, but it's about being fair to yourself.
Right.
Right? Don't overextend yourself and have such high expectations for things. That's not necessarily fair. You know? You need to move a little bit slower, maybe.
Right.
When it comes to relationships, ironically, even though you guys like to take your time.
Right. You've been kind of taken out of your element.
Once you see red, right, the bull, you're full and you're ready to charge. And there's a lot of Sagittarius going on here. So some of you are definitely seeing red right now. And you're ready to just go forward with the bull. Right? You want to charge. Yeah, but you probably want to think about it first. Right? You know, a lot of Tauruses are terrified by those pleasures that they have inside of themselves, right? Or it's just like the temper of the Taurus too, right? You just want to define yourself to yourself before you just ram forward with things, right?
Okay, wow. Okay, so in your immediate influence, you've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is crossing the 8 of Pentacles, which is 18, which is really a 9 of Pentacles, which is still Virgo energy, right?
Yeah, it's still Virgo energy. I'm seeing strongly a Virgo one. Two, the correlation of the 8 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles is a very traditional correlation because the 8 of Pentacles traditionally is a man who is working on what is the 10 of Pentacles, the house that is in the 10 of Pentacles, right?
Right.
So in the back, in the distance, there's that prelude to the completion.
Right.
You're almost there. You're hinting at this idea.
Process, right?
And the challenge is, will you be able to have that with this person, or will you be able to have that with this scenario? Whatever the scenario is for you, Taurus, only you know. But the challenge karmically is this realistic? Is this really what it is, because this isn't upright and it's not in reverse either, right? It's the challenge card, so it's sideways. It could go either way. This could play either way for you.
Very dual.
And that's very interesting considering how much work you've put into this scenario. I'm seeing a lot of work.
Right. So you feel like, it's worth it. We've been doing so much to improve things, but it just feels like it's being tested so much. Well, your anxieties say that you guys might need to just talk some things out. Right? Maybe there's some conversations that you need to have about where the relationship is going and where you actually see it. You know, maybe you guys haven't had those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, Taurus, you rule the throat, right? That is your area. So a lot of you love music, you love to sing. I mean, you're ruled by Venus. It makes sense. But at the same time, the deepest desire of a Taurus is to be respected for who they really are. Respect is a huge part of being a Taurus.
Right.
So having this page of Pentacles, which is like Capricorn energy, right? It's about a presentation of something. Traditionally, this is a man offering something, you know, or in this case, because it's in your realm of anxieties, maybe you're having anxieties over offering something.
Right. Did you guys just move into an apartment together and maybe you're like, maybe this was a bad idea?
I mean, the Pentacles, and it's pretty far up in there, so it's a manifestation of something. And you're having anxieties over it. Right. It could be easy. It could be, like, we are talking about relationships here. So it could definitely be something in the dynamic of the relationship. Or something that just has physically manifested itself, either in you or in your partner.
Right.
That is physical, right? In your earth sign. So you understand that. So it's something that everybody can see and understand what it is. And understand why you might be having these anxieties. Maybe someone wasn't as loyal as you thought they would be. You know, you put all this work in and all of a sudden, you know, they turned out not to be the person that you thought. Or the story just turned out to rewrite itself in a way that you didn't have the expectations for, because you had to realize that there are two people in a relationship.
Right. Could it be that maybe one of you quit a job or one of you lost a job and now one of you has a job, but you both live together and you're trying to figure out how you're going to make the finances work because one of you is actually looking, and that's what's bringing the strain on the household and the relationship? You know,
your inheritance or whatever it is that you want to build is being challenged.
Yeah.
It's being challenged right now, and it's supposed to be challenged because the future here with Jupiter and Libra is saying you need to feel these things, right? Because there's some part of you that's not feeling fully expressed somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. You're just too concerned on what the other is doing because, you know, you're actually the one that's probably bringing in more to offer right now to the relationship, to both of you. You know, you might feel like you're carrying a little bit of the weight right now because that's what you feel like you're responsible to do, right? It's almost like you're obligated to do that because you're the one that is employed and you're the one that does have the job and you're the one that is bringing something in. That's going to be normal. You know, when you're in a relationship with someone, one of you will have a job that pays more. One of you will be really gainfully employed when the other one is just, you know, modestly employed. There's a balance, there's a yin and a yang, there's a give and a take, and you don't want to be resentful of someone because they're going through some sort of transformation that's occurring. You know, it's karmic. It's asking you to really be patient and not to blame or resent or, you know, make a mockery of someone who is actually really trying hard to generate something within this relationship. I'm going to let Dell add something to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think here you got the Emperor. Emperor and Mars energy. So this is Aries. You could be desiring an Aries even if it wasn't Virgo. It could be Aries. There could be a older male even. A more established person that you somehow desire or are going through this kind of anxiety over. Maybe because the Page of Capricorns is there, you want to express some feelings for. That's one way of looking at it. This is also saying you want to uncover the truth, right? The Emperor is there. You want to line up the troops. You want to go to war if that's what's necessary, but you want to construct something. With this being here, the Emperor and the Ten of Pentacles there, you definitely want a commitment. There's definitely a call for a commitment.
Hey, yeah.
And you don't really want to share those ideals, Taurus, of course, with other people. Taurus is about physical. They find comfort in the physical. You know, they're not necessarily possessive, but they are about ownership traditionally. Taurus.
Yeah.
Come into my house and live here with me. Live your life, but come home, right? It's that type of idea. So you're really trying to see things as they are, and you want to build or construct some type of structure. It could be at work. There's a lot of work involved. If it's not a relationship, like an actual relationship with someone, it could be like your boss or something. You know, you want to have a healthier relationship with your boss or with some type of patriarch in your family even.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at your advice. Okay. So the advice is saying that you guys are really going to move on from whatever this tumultuous situation is regarding your finances or regarding any sort of investments that you may have with each other. I think that you should definitely anticipate Venus going into Taurus, even though this is not a Venus and Taurus card, but it is a card of Taurus.
It's Saturn in Taurus.
Right. So you definitely want to go into this next month of April understanding the lessons that you've been taught through the Three of Swords, realizing that you guys are actually going to have to talk about things that are physical, like money and scheduling and spending time together, that type of thing. Because, you know, you guys might need to do a little bit of like dating just to sort of get the spark right or get it back.
You're on the right path. Sevens are usually a great sign of being on the right path, actually. It's conflict, but it's conflict with an advantage. It's ruled by Cancer, so it is about emotions, right? It is about kind of going in on ourselves and what we deal with sometimes in the shadow world of things or accumulation of things in that way. This is Saturn and Taurus. So, you know, traditionally this is about seeds that have been planted and like watching them grow. This is a lot about having the patience to just wait out the scenario. Whether it's like matters of health, matters of finance, or if it's talking about this relationship, you definitely should take the time to see it through with fruition. Right.
You're gonna get past that step. You know, like the sixes are, to me, are like moving on or getting out of that conflict from the energy of the fives, right? It's like once you can actually break free of the conflict of the fives, then it's almost allowing you to see that things actually can be better and things will be better. So that in your advice sector is actually a really positive placement.
Yes, and you have to think to yourself, Saturn, which is the planet about restrictions and limitations, and it's also the enforcer of things, right? Oh, I want to do these things, but I've got to do these things first. Oh, I got this brand new car. Oh, it's a Corvette. It's beautiful. Red, candy apple. I want to hit those streets with it, but I got to go to speed limit. All of this stuff is Saturn, right? The restrictions, the lines. Here, you've got Saturn twice in your future and in your advice. Taurus and Libra are both ruled by Venus. So this is Saturn teaching you something about beauty, teaching you something about art, teaching you something about what you're attracted to and what you attract, right? Because in the future, you need to keep definitely weighing out what's fair. You might be feeling like it's this tumultuous thing that's happening, when actually, you know, and it could very well be a Libra in your life that's actually trying to bring in the fairness, or be fair, or remind you of what is fair. And having Saturn and Taurus is saying, look at the structures that you build. Look at the things and let them give their time, right? Because Saturn does rule time and karma. So time is an illusion, as we all know. You try to put a time limit on your relationship and you might end up in this place, right? Because you try to give somebody ultimatums and you try to ram, you saw red and you're just trying to ram, and then you end up hurting someone, right? We all know how bulls can hurt people, right? And a lot of that, I feel like, comes from not being able to vocalize yourself in the ways that you feel like you need to. Future card, Two of Wands. I like to show you guys the cards because I know you guys want to see them. So here you go. Two of Wands.
Okay.
That's the outcome.
Right.
That's Mars in Aries. Right now the Sun is in Aries. And there's a lot of Aries advice here, which is kind of like, maybe not take things as serious. You know, Aries and Taurus are both the time of the child. 0 to 7 and 8 to 15. And so during those period of times of adolescence, you know, you start to grow up and you stop enjoying certain things that maybe used to be pleasurable. You know, maybe simple things that were pleasurable for you on a day-to-day basis, or that brought a certain amount of passion to you or to your relationship for that matter.
Okay. So let's look at your clarifying cards. We're just going to flip those over, you know, all at the same time.
Queen of Pentacles, the Tower, Strength.
Okay.
Now we're getting into major arcana.
Right.
Knight of Cups. King of Rods, which would be the King of Wands.
Okay. 7 of Pentacles.
And 7 of Pentacles.
Okay. So you got 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. So there's like an accumulation of something here.
It's definitely accumulation.
Wow.
And let me clarify something before, because we're using two different tarots. This is traditionally Kendrick's tarot. It's not one that I'm as familiar with, but it's based on the Rider-Waite. Mm-hmm. This is the 9 of Pentacles. So I had been talking before, thinking that this was the 7 of Pentacles, right, and it's actually the 9 of Pentacles, which is Virgo.
Right,
and then we flipped over the clarifying card, and it still came up as the 7 of Pentacles. Right, so it was still there.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
So everything that I related to before about 7 of Pentacles is still relevant. But now I actually want to spend some time on the 9 of Pentacles.
Taurus and Virgo energy, not so much Capricorn. I mean, you do have the Page of Pentacles here, but you've got 6 of Pentacles, which I think is Jupiter in Taurus. You've got 7 of Pentacles, which is Saturn in Taurus. You got 8 of Pentacles, which is
Mercury in Virgo.
And then
then Venus in Virgo.
Right, Venus in Virgo, which is 9 of Pentacles right there.
Okay, 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles.
Yep, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Lots of Pentacles, guys.
And the Page, honey. So there's some information coming in about this money.